Welcome to the Equipped Disciple channel. My name is Rick McClatchy. I will be your host. We are here to be and to make disciples of Jesus, and we do that through daily devos, through Sunday sermons, and through other discipleship resources. We are here to equip you to be an equipped disciple. All right, welcome into another day of your daily devos. I'm Pastor Rick, and we are in chapter 39 of the book of Genesis. Falsely accused and imprisoned is what we got going on today. So we just finished up with some information regarding the whole tribe of Judah, the starting of the tribe of Judah. And interesting story, lots of twists and turns in that little saga. And again, I think just walking away with the conviction that God can use anybody in any kind of situation, and he's good at redeeming our broken stuff. Amen. So go ahead and like and comment and subscribe. Comment what your favorite chapter has been so far in the Genesis series. It'd be cool just to hear from you, what's really been sticking out to you, what's been impacting to you. So let's go ahead and jump in. Verse 1 of chapter 39. Now Joseph had been taken to Egypt. An Egyptian named Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, and the captain of the guards, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had brought him there. So sold 2 times, and he's not even 20, what in the world? The Lord was with Joseph, and he became a successful man, serving in the household of his Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord made everything he did successful, Joseph found favor with his master and became his personal attendant. Potiphar also put him in charge of his household and placed all that he owned under his authority. I just thought this is a pretty powerful little packed section of verses about what God was doing through Joseph. The Lord was with Joseph. Right there, that's the thing that defines the successful situation that Joseph had going on, is that God was with him. It doesn't matter where you are. It matters who you are with. It doesn't matter the obstacle it does not matter the obstacle you're facing. It does not matter the challenges around you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big the need is. It matters who you are with. When you know the one you're with, you can be like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and stand up in the face of the king in the fiery furnace and say, you know what? Our God's going to save us. You know what? And even if he doesn't, we're still not going to bow, because he's better than that. He deserves our praise. He deserves our adoration. So the Lord was with Joseph. It doesn't matter where you are. It matters who you are with. And Joseph was prospering in his works, in his workspace, due to the blessing and favor upon him by the power of God. God is not limited in where he can bless and prosper. So I think it's an interesting thing for us to really contend for and even expect that as we work in the marketplace as believers, as faithful followers of Christ, that we would expect actually that God's blessing, his hand of blessing would be upon us, and that he would bless the work of our hands, that we would be a blessing in all of the places that we go, much like Joseph. I'm not saying that your workplace needs to feel like a prison or anything, because Joseph's going to find out what that's like here in just a little bit. But God can move mightily on you and in you, through you, to impact the people around you. He's not limited in where he can bless and prosper. Wherever God puts you, he empowers you. So know that wherever God has put you, it's not by accident. Even if you're in the middle of a job that's been really challenging, it's been really frustrating, maybe you haven't even felt super good at it, maybe you haven't felt necessarily super fulfilled by the work you're doing, it doesn't matter. Joseph was in a situation where he didn't get to choose any of that. He just responded in faithfulness and said, wherever you put me, I'm going to do my best. And God blessed it and poured out his spirit upon him. Verse 5, from the time that he put him in charge of his household and all that he owned, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house because of Joseph. The Lord's blessing was on all that he owned in his house and in his fields. He left all that he owned under Joseph's authority. He did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. Now Joseph was well built and handsome. And after some time, his master's wife looked longingly at Joseph and said, "Hey, come and sleep with me." But he refused. He said, look, he said to his master's wife, with me, here my master does not concern himself with anything in his house, and he has put all he owns under my authority. I think, again, this is kind of going back to that last concept. I think we should expect God to bless the places that we work as a result of us being there. I think we should expect it. I think we should ask God for it. I think we should work faithfully. We should work heartily. That it requires that we represent the Lord well and that we work heartily as unto the Lord. Like, it doesn't matter if your boss is there. You're working for the Lord. He's always there. He's always seeing what you're doing. Give your best. Sow your best into that field and see the blessing that God will bring for you, for where you're working. And when they see you being a person of integrity, a person of honor, and then they see God blessing you as a result, and it blessing the work, that, man, it's a recipe for really incredible promotion and just really prospering where you're at. So just when everything is looking good, the enemy comes to trip you up. And we see a really great example of 2 Timothy 2:22 just talks about fleeing from youthful lusts. And Joseph did that in spades. And so that will come through here. Verse 9, no one in his house is greater than I am, and he has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. So how could I do this immense evil, and how could I sin against God? Although he spoke to Joseph day after day, although she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her. Now, one day he went into the house to do his work, and none of the household servants were there. She grabbed him by his garment and said, sleep with me. But leaving his garment in her hand, he escaped and ran outside. So he's fleeing youthful lust. He's just getting the heck out of Dodge. He's like, I'm out of here. When she saw that he had left his garment with her and had run outside, she called her household servants. Look, she said to them, my husband brought a Hebrew man to make fools of us. He came to me so he could sleep with me, and I screamed as loud as I could. When he heard me screaming for help, he left his garment beside me and ran outside. She put Joseph's garments beside her until his master came home. And then she told him the same story. The Hebrew slave you brought us came to make a fool of me. But when I screamed for help, he left his garment beside me and ran outside. When his master heard the story, his wife told him, these are the things your slave did to me. He was furious and had him thrown into prison where the king's prisoners were confined. So Joseph was there in prison. So that's where we're leaving off today with Joseph's progress here. Just going back to his statement to her, how could I do this and sin against God? And I think that's a really key perspective that Joseph kept solidly in his mind. It wasn't necessarily about sinning against Potiphar. It wasn't about sinning against her. It was about sinning against God. It was a violation of his relationship with God. I think that's a really powerful statement, that he wasn't concerned about Potiphar. He wasn't concerned about wrath from Potiphar. It wasn't a fear of man thing. It was a fear of God thing. And that fear of God is the thing that keeps you. It is the beginning of wisdom. It's going to keep you from the temptations. It's going to help you avoid all those traps. And just day after day, this is just kind of representative of the relentless nature of the enemy's attacks and his temptation to get us to be tripped up by evil. And so don't be surprised. Don't be ignorant of the enemy's devices. Know that he comes day after day. He is relentless in his approach. And then run, Joseph, run. Run, flee youthful lust. Flee youthful lust. Get away from it. Run away. And he's sentenced to prison and not to death. I think this is really interesting because he's a slave. What does it matter what happens to him? And why didn't he just get sentenced to death? I actually think that Potiphar didn't totally believe his wife. I think he had enough confidence in Joseph that he felt confident that Joseph had not done it. And I think that's why he put him in prison and he did not put him to death. Because, what sense does it make to even keep Joseph alive? Why put him in prison? If he tried to attack your wife, then why even mess around with that? Just put him to death. So it's just that is not in the Bible. That is just my opinion. You take it with a grain of salt. You decide what you want to do with it. That was for free. That was for fun today. So lots of interesting stuff today. No matter where God puts you, know that he is able to bless you wherever you are, that we should work for the blessing of wherever we are working for. This is a lot of really great principles in here for how to approach the work that you do with your hands, let's say Monday through Friday, if you will, your day job, if you will, and so great things to kind of meditate on. And then also the next topic of just resisting and then running away from temptation, being ironclad in your fear of God. Like, how could I do this and sin against God? I will not do it. So with that, big hearty, God bless you. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.